There you go.
Welcome to the Brad and Taylor Show. Today we have Alyssa Coggins with Keller Williams. How's it going, Alyssa?
Great. How are you guys?
We're good.
Good. Well, let's get started. You're listening to the Brad and Taylor Show, a podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to pursue their passions. We're sitting down with some of the best to learn how they got started and some lessons they learned along the way. Yeah. Okay. Let's get started. Let's go way back when. Let's go way back when you were growing up. Did you want to be an agent when you grew up, or what did you want to be when you grew up?
I didn't know early on in my childhood what I wanted to be when I grew up. In high school, towards the end of your high school career, they give you all sorts of career tests and things like that. And it actually turned out that I should be in HR. And both my mom and I were like, that's not your personality, but let's go try it out anyway.
Yeah.
So I did just like a half day of take a random person to work with an HR person. It was just too much sitting and too much not interacting with people. So I knew that wasn't my passion. So then my senior year, I thought maybe I want to be a teacher. I've got a lot of teachers in my family. Maybe that's my path. So I was a student teacher in high school for a semester, and that just was not me. I love my babies. I love my kids, but being stuck in a classroom with that many kids was just not what I expected it to be.
Yeah.
I didn't have any expectations. But the teacher that I was working for at the time, her husband was a real estate agent.
Okay.
So, I heard a lot more about real estate at that point in time. I have an uncle that actually does commercial real estate out in Colorado. And so it wasn't really something that I thought about. I'm sorry. It wasn't really something that I knew much about, because obviously as a kid, you just don't know buying and selling houses and properties. There's just no learning curve unless you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But for some reason, just, my mind went there, and I was like, this is something I think I have to do. This is something I think that would be a perfect fit for me. It's not sitting in an office all day. It's not, going out and cold calling houses all day. So I went into college knowing that I wanted to go into real estate.
Okay.
My parents at that time, it was the early 2000s, and they were very much the parents that once you finish high school, you go to college.
Yep.
There's no exception. And so I was kind of thrown through a hoop, because obviously you don't need a college degree to be a real estate agent. So I did what I absolutely could do that was still going to benefit me as a real estate agent eventually in my career. And so I majored in entrepreneurship and marketing.
Okay.
And so that was a perfect fit for me. Back then, everybody was like, an entrepreneurship degree. Like, why? You're gonna have your own business. Why do you need a degree in that? Which, I caught a lot of flack from some family members, because, that's not a very traditional degree.
Mm-hmm.
And it certainly was a newer degree at the time, that they were just starting at my college. So I took it and I ran with it. I
Are
had
you
other
glad you took
business.
it?
I am.
Yeah.
I'm really, really glad.
Yeah.
I did take a real estate class my first semester in college. But to be honest with you, I regret not putting in more effort at that time and getting my license.
Mm-hmm.
It was my very first semester at college. It was a 4-hour night class once a week. And by that time, I was exhausted.
Oh, I
by the
bet.
end
Yeah.
of the day, with adjusting to new, just the new surroundings around me. And it was I think a 300 level course. So it was, beyond my scope at that point in time. But it did help me build the foundation to where I'm at right now. And where I kind of wanted to learn more about entrepreneurship and marketing and that kind of thing. So I'm really glad that I stuck that out. It was a great learning experience. I had wonderful mentors up at CMU. They were just absolutely exceptional. And, I use my degree to this day.
Yeah.
So it's worked out.
Then it all worked. Yeah, it all worked out.
Okay, I have to ask, what did you guys for your degree? What was some things that stood out for you when you did that degree? Because like I've only talked to like a couple people that have done that degree.
I learned a lot about building a business from the ground up, starting with your business plan, which a lot of people, they go into owning their own business and they don't have a plan.
Yeah.
They just kind of wing it. And, at the start of this pandemic, we had a lot of scared agents and people that just were not sure what was going to happen, if we were going to go into another recession and all of these other things. And I was more at ease because I have a business plan built for myself. I have a marketing plan. I knew where to cut expenses if I needed to. I knew what my exit strategy was going to if I needed an exit strategy. Thankfully, I had built my business up to a great point at that point in time where I still grew a lot over the last year, while some agents didn't. Because they, didn't have contingencies in place for every unknown that could come at you. So it stood out a lot for me having that business plan, knowing what my exit strategies were, all of my accounting, because we had to take 2 accounting classes, and I knew how to market without necessarily spending money, where I think a lot of other agents get caught up and you have to spend money to make money. And I think that's true in some degree in real estate. But for the most part, I don't spend money on leads. I spend money on my clients and professional photos and all of those other things that give my clients exactly, that give my clients the best experience that they can. And then they take that and they spread the word to their friends and family. And no matter where we are in the housing market, everyone's going to need to buy a house. At some point in time, there are still going to be buyers and there's still going to be sellers. So it really just depends on who you have in your pipeline and who you have rooting for you and backing you. And I don't see other companies, third party websites that you pay for leads backing agents like they would if they were your friend or a highly recommended client that was very satisfied with your services.
Awesome. That's pretty exciting. So what do you remember your first transaction as an agent?
My first transaction as an agent, to be honest, was kind of blurry because I actually started out in real estate working for a foreclosure agent. I believe it was in 2012, and I was his office manager, his lead generator, files, transaction coordinator, all of those things. So I learned a lot through those transactions. And I worked with him for a couple years. Then I went over to another agent at KW and I worked with him for a couple years. I worked with another agent doing the same thing. So I was about 4.5 years before I got my license.
Okay.
So by the time I was licensed and ready to go, I jumped in and I knew exactly what I was supposed to do and how to do it. So, I just went with it. And I had clients right from the start that were just people that were waiting for me to get into real estate. And we just happened to, sync up at the same time that they wanted to buy. And I was ready to buy for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Take us on your journey from when you first started to where you are today.
I think pretty much summed it up. The first 4.5 years I worked for an agents that did all sorts of business,
Right.
foreclosures, short sales, buying, selling, high volume. I think I added it up. I did about 350 transactions before I actually became an agent, maybe more.
Wow.
Okay.
So that was a huge help to learn what to do and what not to do,
Right.
and learning through other people's experiences. Um, it greatly helped me learn how different agents in the business work. And so, um, there's obviously higher end agents that do a lot more business than a lot of other agents. And sometimes those can be more difficult to deal with, or they can be more exceptional to deal with just based on the team that they have behind them. So I was able to walk in to my first year of real estate knowing people in the business.
Hmm.
People knew my name because obviously I had worked with them on many different levels. Um, and so finally, it came down to I got my license and I was still transaction coordinating, plus trying to do my own real estate on the side. And I had a 2-year old and a 6-year old at the same time. And so it was too much, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
doing all of that for other agents, plus trying to start my business. So I made a decision. I wasn't happy where I was in life at that point in time because I felt like I was just working to pay for daycare costs.
Hmm.
Yeah.
My husband worked outside the house, and my job was pretty much make extra money and be the house caretaker, the kids caretaker, the one to drop them off at school and pick them
Hmm.
up. So it was a life of insanity. Finally, I just said, you know what? I'm going to take my daughter out of daycare. It's not going to cost me anything more. It's going to save me money. And I'm going to try to do this real estate thing as a mommy and me gig. And so I took her out of daycare, and that little girl and we hustled our butts off.
That's awesome.
I remember walking into one of the first houses I took her into, and she was so funny. She looks all around and she's like, Mama, I love this house. She's like, it has a kitchen. And she's selling it. I mean, she is just going crazy selling it. It has a ceiling fan and going crazy. And so we were a phenomenal team. She did an excellent job just being my little assistant. She's always been my stage 5 Klingon child, is what I call her. She just does not want to let me, she doesn't want to let me go. She doesn't want to be in a different room than I am.
Hmm.
So it really was nice to spend that time with her and bond even more instead of always having to drop her off with a sitter or at daycare and only get to see her for a few hours a day.
Yeah.
So it was fantastic. I mean, she attended business meetings with me. She went on appointments. We showed houses. We did all of those things that you would do as a real estate agent, as a mom and a mom put together. So we had a really great first year. It was stressful at times trying to manage a child and
Yep.
myself.
Yep.
But I found that people were really responsive to it and they absolutely loved it. She would get just as dressed up as I would to go to work every day. She had little toddler high heels that she just refused to wear anything else. And now to this day, she still wears full like pageant ball gowns to school and everything because that's who she is and that's what she loves. She's the only toddler, or well, she's 5 now. She's the only toddler at the time that I knew that could wear little toddler high heels all day
Yeah.
and run around on the playground and be with the other kids and keeping up in these little tiny high heels. I'd pack other shoes and she would refuse to wear them The teachers try so hard to get her to wear sneakers or anything else. And nope, she wasn't having any of it. So she's my little realtor in training. And she still loves to this day to go show houses and
Mhm.
meet clients. And, everybody just absolutely loves her.
How long
And
was she
so
going to the showings with you? Was it just for that year?
It was for about, I'd say a year and a half, maybe
Okay.
2 years off and on.
Yeah.
As soon as she reached preschool age, then I was able to put her in at least half time,
Mhm.
and then I, ramp up more of my business. So over the last year, I have been incredibly blessed, to be honest with you, during this pandemic. My husband, his work allowed him to work from home for the last year. And so while my son was doing virtual learning, my husband's in the basement with him and they're doing
Mhm.
he's doing his work. My daughter took some time off of preschool just during the height of the pandemics and things like that. But we got her back in. So it's been great for me because I've been able to ramp up my business and not have sidekicks with me,
Yep.
Yep.
and I've been able to grow my business even more just because I've had a little bit more help, which was always part of my 5 year plan. I'm going to be hitting my 5 year plan mark, in the fall, when my daughter goes to kindergarten. So at that point in time, she's going to be in school all day, and my son will be in school all day. And then that's when I plan to ramp things up, get my associate broker's license, and really, just go all in.
Mhm.
Not that not all in right now. I'm all in as I can be,
Right.
but
You got more time when she goes to school.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yep.
And to me, my family comes first. So I think that that's really important.
Mhm.
And I tell all of my clients that too. Your family comes first. If you have to bring your children with you, that's fine. We can work it. We can, bring worksheets and get them involved and
Mhm.
things like that. You don't need to necessarily have it just an adult thing. You can still spend time with your kids and come along and have fun too. And a lot of times, my husband will drive me just to spend extra family time together. And my kids will end up playing in the front yard with their kids. And that's the perfect solution because the adults get to do what they need to do, and then the
Yep.
kids get to get some sort of energy
Yep.
out, and have a lot of fun. And they get to kind of roam around and see what their new backyard might be like, and all of that fun stuff.
I love how you're balancing the mom life with the work. It goes really good together how you've been doing it.
I
Yeah.
honestly, that was always my goal. I grew
Okay.
up in a household of middle class workers. And so I very rarely saw my parents, and so they would be working all day and then they'd come home and be so exhausted that they would have dinner, watch the news, and go to bed.
Mhm.
And, we didn't always have parents at our school functions or field trips or anything like that. And so that was one of my biggest goals as a mom and a realtor and just a career path is to be able to have that balance. So my kids knew that I was there for them. They knew that if they had a field trip that they really wanted mommy to go on, that mommy could make her schedule work and make it happen and I can go on that field trip. Or, there's something in the classroom that needs to be done. But it also works both ways because I'm in the schools and I talk to a lot of parents, and they know my son, they know my daughter, and I get a lot of business that way as well,
Mhm.
just because I try to work my balance around, that work life balance that a lot of people don't get. So I pride myself in being able to do that. It is not easy by any means. I don't want to sugarcoat that in any way. Some days it looks crazy on my schedule, and some days I don't think I'm going to make it to everything that I, have to do for both the kids and my job. But I have a wonderful supporting husband that he jumps in wherever he's needed. Whether it be with helping me with my career or helping out with the kids. he's just all in. He's my sign installer. He's, my fix it man if something needs to be tweaked here and there, and
Mhm.
a seller doesn't have the mobility or anything like that to do it. He just goes with the flow. So it's a family business that I run.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What is like one piece of advice you got like way back in the day that you're like, oh, that stuck with me and it like really helped you along the way?
I read that as one of the questions that you sent me, and I was thinking long and hard about that because there's a lot of advice that you get in real estate.
Mhm.
Um, and the part that resonated more with me as advice that I was given that didn't necessarily help. I am a very big person on if you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Prove them
so
wrong.
one of the agents I worked for, they told me that I couldn't possibly be successful in this business running it, being a full-time mom and a full-time real estate agent. And I was never going to make it if I took my daughter out of daycare. And if I didn't work, 40 hours for this person and then my own 40 hours on the side. They actually told me that I needed to forget about my home life and work my butt off when my kids were young because they weren't going to remember
Oh,
me
wow.
as being there when I was young or when they were young, but they
Mhm.
would more so want the money that I would make by the time they're older and want the things that all kids want. And I was dumbfounded, to be honest
Oh,
with you. And I took that advice and I flipped it. And I said, absolutely not.
Good for you.
This is
Yeah.
not going to find me.
Mhm.
And that was a defining moment for me that I said, you know what? I can do it all and I will be successful. And you cannot tell me that I won't be successful in this industry and be a failure as a mom. It's just not going to happen. And I won't let it happen. And here I am, 3 or 4 years later, and I'm doing it. And I haven't failed. And each year I grow my business, I grow my profits, and my kids grow more happy and more loved. And, we have a really great relationship that we talk through things instead of
Mhm.
talking at each other, which is, it's a great thing to have, especially in real estate, that you work through things with people instead of just it's my way or nobody's way.
Right.
And that's kind of how I took that advice to be that I had to be only one person in one set of ways, or I was going to be a failure. And that's just not the message that I want to send to working moms out there. It's not. We can do it. We can do it all. Yes, it's hard,
Mhm.
but we can do it with the right support and the right help, and we can accomplish anything.
yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's flip it around. What kind of advice would you give somebody if you when they're starting out?
Would you recommend your college degree to a
I
new?
would
Yeah.
recommend at least having an associate's degree
Okay.
and some level of business or marketing. I think it's very important that um, you see different perspectives of the world.
Mhm.
You see, just from other people's point of views in any kind of industry. And I say that I didn't need my college degree for what I do in real estate, but to be honest with you, that grew me so much as a person. Every single course that I took, even history, it usually you would say, well, what does history have to do with real
Mhm.
estate? But I learned different perspectives than what was taught in grade school or high school, and there was more open dialogue. You had to work with in groups with people, which you do in grade school, but not to the extent that you do in a college program. In college, it's more critical thinking. It's more, engaging. It's trying to figure out other personalities. How does this professor like his work turned in? How does this professor um, like talking out loud in classes and things like that? And you really have to learn how to work with people on different levels to be able to be a successful realtor,
Mm-hmm.
or even just having more job experience in different jobs, real estate or not real estate, retail or service industry and stuff like that, because it all builds who you are as an agent. And if you aren't seen as an open-minded, kind human that is going to give the best service that you possibly can give, then I don't think that you're going to go far in real estate, because it is a service industry and you have to know different personalities and you have to know how to cater to each personality in order to make it a win-win situation for
Mm-hmm.
people.
Yeah.
I always tell my buyers or sellers that I go into transactions wanting you to become friends with the person that you're buying or selling with, because who knows when it comes down to yard maintenance in the winter time or something like that. How did those burlap sacks get over the trees when you bought it? Were you supposed to keep those? Were you supposed to have
Yep.
somebody come out and put those back on? I like to make sure that the buyers and the sellers feel like they are having a mutual relationship so they can call each other. And for me, that's very important and something that you do learn in your college days, or having a more career experience and just dealing with other people, because you have to create that relationship between you and another agent in order to create that relationship between your buyer and your seller, which is very important. They're going to be tied forever to a house. And, I'm going to be tied to that client forever as a client, because that's just who I am.
Yep.
So I want to make sure that everybody comes out a winner, and it takes a lot of knowing different personality types and how to get to that finish line with everybody winning in the process.
That's awesome. What are some of your goals like for like the next 5 years?
Well, it's changed a little since the pandemic.
Okay. I feel like most goals
I
have.
was
Yeah.
expecting, yes, absolutely. I was expecting to have all of my kids in some sort of all day preschool and elementary school by now. With the pandemic, that kind of changed. I was going to allow myself to have a year of just planning my business and feeling out what my business was going to be. And it looked very different at the beginning of 2020 than it looked at the end of 2020. Now, it looked different for me because my business increased significantly. My last 2 months of 2020, I did over $2 million in business
Wow.
in just November and December. That was an unexpected for me
Yeah.
to be a solo agent during a pandemic. It was a lot of hard work and a lot of appreciation for my friends and their word of mouth and everything like that. So my 5-year plan, I'm shifting it a little bit. I'm going to go obviously in for my associates, associate broker license. And then I'm gonna start just building up from, I'm goaling myself at about between 20 and 30 sales this year. Um, I'm gonna look into adding an assistant, or maybe a buyer's agent, depending on how much more business I increase. I can't say that I have huge goals because we don't know what the rest of this
Yeah.
pandemic
Yep.
looks like.
Right.
So I have kind of
A general
different
idea.
levels of goals. I set a goal, a smaller goal. Once I hit that goal, then I reward myself with something awesome, and then I go for my extended goals. And
That's awesome.
so my next 5 years, I'm excited. I want to get up to be in the 40s, 40 units, or you know uh, $8 to $10 million producer.
Mm-hmm.
But again, with the pandemic, I'm just playing it by ear. I've got my business plan and my contingencies all worked out. And I just, I really think it's possible to increase my business by that much. So I'm just excited. I just can't wait for the world to open back up and
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can just, you know, socialize again and,
Yep.
have, a lot more networking and all of those fun things. Right now, you would probably have to take your associate broker's license course online, not in a
Yeah.
classroom.
Yep.
I'm totally in classroom, in person kind of gal. the, I mean, I love the internet, but it can just be so boring at sometimes with
Mm-hmm.
classes and things like that. So I really want to have that in-person experience where I can ask questions and learn through other people's experience and do study work with groups and things like that that are also, trying to achieve the same goals. Um, but really, at the end of the day, it all comes down to what my family is comfortable with and what makes us stay afloat as a family as well
Mm-hmm.
as my business.
Yeah.
And keeping that great combination of work family life, because I wouldn't ask any less than of that to my clients or anybody that I'm working with. It would be just to keep doing what I'm doing and level up. That's pretty much my 5-year plan.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I love it.
I'm interested to see what career path your daughter takes.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
We're gonna have to
She,
touch base again on this
she's
here in a couple of
so
years. Just see.
she is just so funny. She since we started real estate together, every morning, I would get up and I would do the whole beauty routine,
Yep.
putting on, makeup and lipstick and all of those things, wearing a cute pair of heels while taking them with me. So when I went on appointments, I would have them on, but have more comfy shoes in the back. So she actually, at 5 years old now, she does her own video makeup tutorials.
Huh.
And I remember her very first time just looking at me in the bathroom mirror, and she asked me if she could wear my lipstick. And I was like, sure, you're two. Have fun. Go for it.
Yeah.
And so it ramped up and she worked me. And now she puts on mascara better than I do. I don't know how she does it, but that's just her personality.
Yeah.
She likes to be artistic and she likes to, just be this big personality. Her name is Lana and she calls herself Lala. So she's just this Lala in the world. It's just Lala's world, and nobody else can bust up her vibes. So I'm so excited to see what career path she chooses.
Yeah.
And so blessed that I have a career that I can take my children to see that there are trades in the world
Mm-hmm.
that you don't necessarily have to spend $100,000 on a college degree to make money. You can go into a trade. And, I laugh sometimes because we'll drive by, houses and my son will go, hey, that's a pretty nice triplex over there. Or look at that duplex. I bet that makes them some money. And I'm like,
Raising
bravo.
entrepreneurs. Yep.
Yep. If there is one thing that my kids are going to take away from, being my child, it's that they will always know the real estate world in
Yep.
some fashion to be able to support themselves if, that's what their dream is, or they have to put their dreams on hold to make a little bit of money to succeed with their dreams. They always have something to fall back on. And that to me is the best thing as a parent that I can give to them, is that stability of knowing a safe industry to be in and knowing where they can start out and that they can always come to me for advice If they want to be on my team, you know, as soon as they turn 20, I will guide them through it, you
Yep.
know. And if they don't, they don't. But at least they can sell a couple houses and put themselves through college or
Yep.
their trade school of their choice, you know. So I really feel, you know, that it is a nice work balance, but I do think that my daughter is going to be a little real estate hustler.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Really?
I have that feeling too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Well, we got one last question. Taylor?
Okay, this one's kind of random. Do you think a hot dog is a sandwich?
No.
No. Why not?
It's if you put the hot dog in a piece of sandwich bread,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not a sandwich.
Okay. We don't have a right answer
we
for
don't
that.
have
We
a right
just,
answer.
Yeah.
That made me think, though.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That's a hard question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very much a hot dog in a bun with plain ketchup.
Yeah.
So
Me too.
I don't see it as a sandwich because sandwiches have, you know, I would never put turkey on a hot dog.
Oh,
Or,
no.
you know,
Unless it's a turkey
exactly.
dog. I
So
mean, they make turkey dogs now.
they do. They do. But I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's definitely not a sandwich.
Okay.
Awesome. Is there anything you want to share with our listeners before we go? And then after that, give us your contact information, how they can get a hold of you if they want to get a hold of you.
Awesome. Honestly, I would just say have fun. Don't be a serious business person. Make sure you connect with your clients.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Make a friendship out of it. Even if you don't have the same political views or the same you know, faith or anything like that, everybody has something that you can connect with them on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important that you have fun, keep it as loose as possible, be honest and upfront about everything, and you will succeed 100% of the time. As long as you keep, you know, everything as a really good relationship, you know their personality, you connect with them. With real estate, you connect with them for life, because I can guarantee you that they're going to come back to you at some point in time in one way or another, whether it's a good situation or a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if a pipe bursts in the house and they have questions, you know, over whose responsibility is it? Well, this pipe just burst over the weekend, of us first, you know, living in the house. Is that my responsibility or is that the other person's responsibility? You know, you want them to be able to come to you for guidance
Yeah.
and help you with those things. And it's very important that you just have that good relationship and you're honest, you hold yourself to a high level of integrity, and you have fun. Once it becomes not fun, then you know, everybody has hard days. But when every day is a hard day, then that makes it difficult for everyone involved in the transaction and
Mm-hmm.
everybody in real estate. So just keep it lighthearted, honest, and just enjoy what you do, because not everybody gets the ability to make their own schedule, to work when they want to work, or, you know, go to the gym when they want to go to the gym, or the bars, or anything like that. So it's a really great business and a really great industry. As long as you're having fun and you're building those relationships, you'll always have business.
That's awesome.
That's really good advice. Yep.
Awesome. How can they get a hold of you?
You can reach out to me by call or text. My phone number is 517-899-3951. Again, that's 517-899-3951. I'm also on Facebook. Alyssa Coggins, with Keller Williams, is my Facebook page. And then also my email is my first and last name, Alyssa Coggins, and then the letters KW @gmail.com.
Awesome. That's perfect.
Are these working?
Is your-
Here we go.
Oh, there we go. I think they're working. Should we tell them?
Mine keeps falling. It doesn't like my voice.
What do we gotta tell them?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. What do we gotta point at it? Hey, I think there's a subscription button. Like
It might be there.
might be right there too,
Somewhere.
somewhere.
Find it. It's red.
Yeah, and it's
Red.
blue. It's green. I don't really know.
It's a color.
This mic isn't even attached. Did you plug these in? Well, I guess.
I wonder if they can hear us.
Yeah. I wonder if they hear us. Well, we should probably tell them if they can hear us. We should probably tell them also give us a 5-star review if they're listening to on Apple. That'd be cool.
5
5-star
stars,
review.
guys.
Share it with everybody they can think of.
We won't take
But-
4 stars.
I mean, Taylor, I don't even think these are on. I mean,
No, I don't think this is working.
This is not working.